Hello, and welcome to the Science Fiction and Fantasy Marketing Podcast, the show where we help you establish your author brand, increase the size of your audience, and sell more books. I'm Joseph Lalo, and I'm here with Jeffrey Poole and Lindsay Baroker. And I got through the intro without screwing it up, so good for me. Today, we are no, guest-free, but we will be talking about our launch strategies, and also we'll be talking a little bit about site redesign and depending on how things go, we might move on from there, but starting with launch strategies. So we're going to lead off with Lindsay because that's the order it should have been in the file here. Uh, so I'm going to hand it off to Lindsay now.
Way to tell them that we're reading from notes.
It's not spontaneous. Hey, well, actually, you know what? We didn't have a section for news here. Do we have any news we want to talk about
Oh
before
yeah,
we get
go
started?
ahead, go ahead. Give us your news. You're going on a cruise. People should know that.
I am. The reason we're not going to have a podcast next Tuesday is that I'm going to be on a boat going north. So I'm going to be going to Nova Scotia and making stops all the way down the New England. And I also just recently put out a pre-order, the Amazon pre-order for my next sci-fi. No, I'm sorry, my next Book of Deacon release, which I guess we can talk about shortly. But yeah, those are the two big things. And also, I'm going to have a renovation going on, but that's not really going to affect the books except negatively. So, but that's the news going on in my life. Anyone else got anything?
In the next one you're writing, there'll be all these people dying by like hammer strikes and sledgehammer pickaxes, and for no particular reason.
Like, I don't know why. It's just on my mind.
Something falls on them and squishes them flat.
Well, I don't have any big news. I haven't released anything shockingly for a good month now. I'm trying to finish the rough draft of my 6th Dragon Blood book, which I was supposed to finish by the end of August, and I've had a few things come up too. And I know when I put it up for pre-order, it's supposed to come out on October 27th, so I got to get the file in by the 17th. That seemed like a really long ways away, but so now I'm on my road trip back to Arizona. I just started. I'm in Montana right now, and trying to write still as I'm doing this, which this kind of supposed to be a vacation. But I'm almost done. I'm going to work on the epilogue after the podcast tonight, and then do some editing, get it off to beta readers, and hopefully make my pre-order deadline. So that's the news here. That I guess there's my advice is to give yourself some extra days when you put up those pre-order dates, no matter how many books you've written and how awesome you think you are at your deadlines.
Yeah.
Let's see, news. I work on Tales of Lantari number 6 is going along well. I have started a new series / new genre. And when you're working so live 5 years now, 6 years, 5 years? 5 years in the fantasy realm there, and I completely hit a different genre. And there's a little more planning involved. So thanks to my wife's help, we now have a nice handy-dandy binder that's got people, stores, maps of the area there. So everything to plan out. So holy cow, is it a lot of work? But it's going to be fun writing it. It's going to be fun. And renovation-wise, I just did my first tiling job, which came back to bite me in the butt because apparently I did a nice enough job my very first time with a cheapo $53 tile saw. My wife's going, let's see, what else can I get him to do? So be forewarned. Do a crappy job, that way you won't be asked to do another one.
That's right.
That's about it.
Yeah, next week you'll be telling us how you're getting these Arizona, right? You got to have those Saltillo Mexican floor tiles in the entire house. So all of your square footage, that'll be up to you.
Yeah, well, yeah. The way my wife is saying, like, if these high school dropouts can manage to do tiling, you should be able to do it too. I'm like, are you saying I'm a high school dropout? Is that it? But no, it's not bad, but it's messy and it's time consuming and it kills your back.
I believe it. So, but you teased us with this other news story. What genre is this that you're jumping
Mystery.
Because I don't know if we're going to let you talk about that on this science fiction and fantasy show.
That's totally fine. But yes, I'm jumping over to mystery and trying it out.
All right. Well, cool. I hope it goes well.
I hope so too.
All right. Now, news out of the way. Like we said, today's topic is launch strategies. This is about releasing a new book and what we do to prepare and ready ourselves for that. And Lindsay is going to start us off because my stuff is in addition to hers and therefore should follow it according to causality.
Yeah, I liked that in the notes. I had written my 3 things, and Joe's like puts his on top of mine in addition to Lindsay's. All right, so I should probably do mine first. And I just wanted to say before we jump into this, obviously we all have mailing lists already. We already have a couple series out, that kind of thing. So I'll try to kind of mention what I did way back in the beginning too, but we'll also try to get some other guests on in the future that are, newer and have done well with their launches. I guess we've had some people on like that, so we'll continue to do that, and keep in mind that not everybody is on their 10th or 20th novel. I think Edwin was the guy on Twitter, hello Edwin, that said, what is there any hope, like if you write a novel every 3 years or something like that? And so I have somebody in mind that I'm going to ask if he can come on the show, and that's where he's at. He writes these big epic fantasy novels, and he's got his second one just came out, and he did prequel, it's a new word, prequel novellas of the books, so we kind of had an early release before his release, and it should be interesting if I can get him to come on. But yeah, talking about what we do, because I don't know if we've done that before on here. I'm pretty simple, so that's why I'm going first. The guys can just build on me. By simple, we've already discussed my laziness, but part of that too is that I've tried a lot of things with the various releases over the years and spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of time. And the basic things are kind of what works. So for me, if it's a new series and it's a new book one and something new, I will definitely try to recruit people to review it, and I'll send out review copies like 2 weeks early so that hopefully right there on release day, I can start getting some reviews right away. Because with the new series, your existing fans won't necessarily jump automatically to it. Some of mine do, especially if it's in the same world or same genre pretty much, but I know when I've jumped to like contemporary fantasy from doing epic fantasy, we've talked about before, that's not always the same audiences. So I'll try to get some early reviewers, and if it's an old series, if it's like book 3 or book 4, at that point I'm probably not that worried about what it debuts at as far as sales ranking and making the categories, because as I've talked about before, most of my stuff you can't jump into a later book without being really confused, so I don't even try to tempt anybody to do that. I'm just like, no, go read book 1. You can't jump in here. So usually I'll still, lately, this is probably in the last year or so, I've actually started doing, like having a review team and saving the people and keeping track of them as opposed to just saying, like, hey, I'd really like it if you guys could leave reviews. And I try to let it be known that, like, if somebody reviews my first book, if I email them a copy, and I solicit my list is where I get these people, the people that have signed up to get news and updates from me. But I try to let it be known that if they review the first book and send me the link to it, I'll keep them on the list and send them copies of the following books in their series. I usually do something new for every series rather than assuming that people that liked X series want to also be on the review team for Y series. It's probably making more work for myself, but I've noticed that some of my less than stellar reviews of a book 1 in a new series are from people who are kind of bitter that it's not the next book in the old series, or it's like, we do not like the new style, do not like this author trying something new. So sometimes that's just something to keep in mind. If you're doing drastically something different, like Jeffrey may not want to appeal to his science fiction and fantasy fans to get reviews of the mystery series. I don't know, unless he can weed them out and say, do you guys also, by chance, like the Cat Who books? Because it's totally what I'm writing. But so yeah, if you can get reviews on day 1, that's definitely helpful. But if you're a new author, of course, that's always going to be really tough. I didn't have any friends that I could really I don't have any friends, period. But as far as like people I could solicit with my first book that I published, I didn't feel comfortable going to any of my real life friends to could you read my fantasy novel, please? Because most of my friends come from sports and skiing and tennis and stuff like that. My internet friends read fantasy, so they're good. But I really didn't want to burden anyone with my novel probably sucks, but could you review it? That'd be great. So I actually just went on the forums and said free review copy to anybody that will leave a review, and some people did, some people didn't. I think I've talked about before going to the various forums, so I will stop yammering about that now. So in addition to trying to get some reviews for release day, or at least I'm hoping they'll review it in the first couple days, I will of course announce the book to all the social media sites that I'm on, which isn't really that many. I do Twitter and Facebook pretty religiously. Those are the 2 I'm regular at. regular with some kind of regularity. And if I remember, I do G+, but I only log in there about 6 times a year, so I'm not super good at that. Every now and then I get notes that people are following me, and I'm like, oh good, I should go there sometime. And I will usually stagger things a little bit and like kind of do the social media posts as the book appears on the site. It's like, oh, it's up on Amazon. Oh, it's up on Barnes & Noble. Kind of the day before I actually email the list. And that's part of that is just because those people who are following on there, really the loyal people that, and they love those sites, obviously. So they really want to like get the book as soon as it comes out. And a lot of them have been following along and getting the snippets along the way. But also because I try to stagger it a little bit, since Amazon seems to not like it that much when you get all of your sales in one day. They're counter to the BookBub effect, I think. So it's better now. You seem to have more chance of sticking if you can kind of spread your sales out over like the first, like say 3 days. And that can be tough because how many places do we have that we can talk about our books? But so I do the social media sites, and then usually the next day it's live everywhere. You know, if you did a pre-order, obviously it's going to be live everywhere at the same time, but you still might wait till the next day just to do the staggering thing. So the next day I will email the list. And what I might do eventually is something I keep thinking about is kind of segmenting the list, like dividing it in half or dividing it by something so that, let's say 2,000 people get the announcement one day, and then the next day the other half of it gets the announcement. Again, just the same kind of thing to try to stagger it and get the sales more gradually coming in rather than all at once. And that's kind of what I do. I don't do advertising. As we've talked about before, it's kind of hard to get ads for new releases. Most of the sites want you to discount your book, which is hard to do when it just came out. I have every now and then I think about launching something at 99 cents, trying to get reviews on day one, and then applying for a BookBub ad, but I haven't bothered yet, mostly because BookBub, I don't like to waste them. I like to have a couple more books out in the series before I actually get the ad, if I can get an ad. So basically the only advertising I will do is I will do the Facebook boosted post thing. And that's just been, as the more subscribers or likes you get on your Facebook page, the more money they want you to spend doing that to reach everybody. And you can choose to also reach their friends of people that like your page. And I will do that sometimes, depending on my mood. But yeah, I don't assume that everybody who's liked my page is going to see it without a boosted post. So, and you shouldn't, because Facebook likes to hide that. Unless they interact with your site regularly, that probably won't happen. They probably won't see it. So that's about it for me. I'll pass it over to you guys and try to comment as I remember. Oh yeah, I do that too.
All right, yeah, I'll follow up with this. As it says on my notes here, I do pretty much everything that Lindsay does. So this is everything, like this is plus on her stuff. But I should point out on the subject of the social networks that you aren't active on but are present on. I'm thinking of, like, I'm on a few that I don't post on very often. I'm thinking of linking one of my more active social network things via if this then that to the ones I'm not active on. That way they'll at least get something, because every time, say, I tweet, it'll throw it onto G+ or something. I'll probably experiment on that and report back if I have good results. But one of the things she didn't talk, well, we've spoken about it earlier and in previous things, that I do for launch is pre-orders now. I pre-order everywhere. Initially, I only pre-ordered on iBooks, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo because those were the only places I could. Since then, I've gone on Google Play, and you can do pre-orders there, so I'll pre-order there as soon as possible. And we've discussed how it's not terribly useful to pre-order on Amazon. That doesn't have a really rank improvement, but I still pre-order there as well. Mostly, there are reasons. Because first off, when you do any promotion about your books, it's very helpful if you have a link that people can act on immediately. So even if your book isn't out yet, if you do have a pre-order, you can share a link about the pre-order, and while it's in their head, they can click on it and buy it. So it's not guaranteeing a purchase, because people can cancel, and they do. But it's a way for for you to not fall out of their head, or not have to continually remind them until the day that it releases. So even if it doesn't have a rank improvement, there's still value to doing a pre-order. So I do it on Amazon. Plus, again, you get a nice big payday when your book releases if you had a good pre-order period. And for the places that, for Barnes & Noble and iBooks and I believe Kobo as well, I don't know about Google, pre-orders help your day one ranking. So it's got an extra benefit on those. And I do about as long a pre-order as I can. You can actually pre-order for a very long time on Apple, but usually around 5 or 6 months, and then the 3 months you can do on Amazon. In addition to the pre-orders, as the book nears completion, sometimes when it's very, very far from completion, I'll put up some preview materials. The closer to the book release, the better, because again, you're going to try to be building momentum. But generally, right about when I'm starting the edit, so either my first read through or when I send it off to the editor to edit it, I'll pick a passage or maybe just the intro that I really like, and I'll put that up to sort of give people an idea of the tone of the book and see if they get interested or not. Plus, it's like a tiny little micro beta read where you can figure out if people are going to or not going to go for this, particularly if you choose a passage that's indicative of the tone of the book. So it gets people excited, or if it gets them upset, it lets you know what you need to change in a hurry. And I've found that another thing that's useful with that in terms of just preview material is if you're introducing a new character or you're expanding an old character, I like to do, I just like as an exercise, but also because the fans tend to get interactive on it, is I like to do the character interview where I'll pick a character, let the fans submit questions, or maybe just gather up questions I've received about that character, and then do a little thing on the page about it. But it's really like lots and lots of a book launch is about spreading out your momentum both before the release and after the release, and this is one of the ways I do that. And this is another thing where if you have other books, this is tremendously important. The pre-orders and the pre-orders and the preview materials are both pretty much, you can do it if it's your first book. But if you have lots of other books out, which I do, Lindsay does, Jeff does, back matter. Remember to update your back matter, at least in the same series. Like if I just released, I'm going to be releasing a new Book of Deacon story called the Decaran Apprentice, and there's 5 other books in that series which I could go back and update the back matter for, which is useful if people are just getting into the series for them to know when they finish what you've written that there are more books. For the longest time, my trilogy just said that it was the only thing there was, and I didn't get a lot of buy-through to anything after that because why would they know that it was there? So use your back matter as like mini ads. It's just good sense, but it's also a pain because you have to remake and re-update re-upload your books and stuff. So a new release is pretty much the only time I update my back matter. But those are my additions to Lindsay's stuff. I will second that I don't do any advertising on a new book release, but except for the boosted Facebook thing. I have tried different types of advertising in the past that's not review dependent, and I've found that basically the only useful advertisements that I've ever done in terms of like a real punch all at once are ones that require you to have a discount and have a lot of reviews, and therefore aren't useful for a new release. I think there might be a niche, there might be a hole in the advertising department just for people who are doing pre-orders. So someone get on that. Let's get some venture capital on there.
All right. Before Jeff jumps in, I wanted to say yes, that's definitely a great idea to update the back matter in your earlier books in the series. I'm not always real good about updating across the series. I'm really bad about it, but I will definitely, if I'm releasing book 6, I'll go in and say at the end of book 5, this is ready. And like if I'd have a box up the set and do an ad on that, I'd definitely try to update the back of that with a book 4 preview, or whatever's next in the set. So even if you didn't have it at the time, it's a good idea to stick it at the back of that book.
Yeah, absolutely. The preview at the end is a good idea. I haven't done that one yet, but it's definitely an excellent idea. All right, so handing off to Jeff.
Alrighty. Yeah, just pretty much I agree with Joe, who agreed with Lindsay, by doing all those things. I also do the pre-orders, and I know it's not doesn't really help too much with Amazon, but I'm definitely under the same impression as you, Joe, that when someone finishes like a latest book in a series, that even if the title isn't available, if you have it pre-ordered somewhere, you can provide the link, and while it's still fresh in their mind, they're still sitting in the world you created. They can go like, oh, I don't want to forget about this. It's only $3, $4, $5, no problem. I'll just click on it, order it, and be nice surprise when they actually when it's pre-release it hits, and then the book's automatically downloaded to their device, and it's good to go. So I take advantage of pre-orders everywhere I can, essentially. Kindle definitely, Kobo, Barnes and Noble, iBooks, you name it. If I can do it, I'm sure as hell gonna try. Let's see here. I also do the newsletter blast, the Facebook posts. I don't really do too much on Google Plus, but I'll definitely I'll put a blurb there saying, hey, if fans of this, go ahead and check it out. Newest titles available, sort of thing. Something I haven't done, but I'm planning on doing now that I'm switching genres, is I'm going to try to send out art copies of the new book in the new genre, which I won't mention since it doesn't fall under this one here. But so just to try and get some people, because I know I've got quite a big fan base that would like it, but I can't assume that they will. Because I'd have to pretty much pretend that I'm appealing to a completely different chunk of the reader pie here. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. You never know. So I do plan on sending out some advanced copies just to see, what people think of it, and if they hate it, they like it. You never know there. And I also will, I guess, I'll triple the whole back matter material thing there, because I definitely will agree with Joe. It's a pain in the butt, because once you have so many books in a series and you release another one, in my case, I've got to go back. I've got to update all the print editions, so that's one separate file. Then I'll go in there and I'll update the Kindle edition. Then I'll go in there and update the Smashwords edition and re-upload everything. And I've got 3 files per each title, and the dying titles keep increasing there. So it just keeps giving me more and more things to do. One thing I will say I enjoy doing is, with regards to Kindle with the book extras, and I think I mentioned this before there, but I view it like DVD extras. You watch a movie, and like myself, I like to say, this is a really cool movie. What else can I learn about this? What's on the extras? Gag reel, or if you like this, check out that sort of thing. That's where book extras come in on Kindle. That is Shelfari.com. It's owned by Amazon. So go in there, create your account, link your books up there, and you can actually go for each title and say, this book, here's similar books to it. You can tell it which other books are, and you link to the other books in the series. So that way, any book purchased from Kindle, if the account exists on Shelfari, you click on the book extras, up it pops, and you can see, you can define, for instance, the table of contents. You can put the first sentence in there. You can put a warning to parents, if you think the kids are going to be able to read it. You can put all kinds of stuff in there. So that to me is like the book extras for the DVD sort of things. It's time consuming, but it's well worth your time to do it. I've had a lot of people say that they've really enjoyed reading it, where I can say, here's a glossary of some made up terms I made. This is what this word means, this, and so forth. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, that's essentially, maybe I can cover the exact same things you guys just said there, but pretty much I'm on board with everything you said and then what I just said too. So
I think that's a good tip with Shelfari and Goodreads. I know I did Goodreads early on. I would go in and update my books because you have to do it early on because nobody's going to do it for you. Now I feel fortunate that there's some readers that go in there and make their librarians or whatever on Goodreads, and I'll have to look into Shelfari. I know that shows up on my Amazon page for some books, like this is the 6th book in this series, and characters in this book are, such and such. But I've never done it. Yeah, I've never done it myself. Apparently, they can do it for you. If you have readers, though, in the beginning you don't. So yeah, you definitely, especially Goodreads, is make sure your book is on there because it won't be if you don't put it there, your first book.
The first time I ever learned about it, was after my second book was out. So I checked out the first one, and because there's a place where you can put all the characters. Somebody took the time to put every damn little character I have in the book, all the way down to the most insignificant human, guard, all the way in there. Like, oh, so-and-so is guard, so-and-so guard. This person's human king. I'm like, there's a huge long list. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And can I do that for the other book? And I did a few for the other ones there too. But yeah, it's just a way where if someone wants to comment on it saying, hey, by the way, this chapter, you've got a typo in this book, FYI, and I can go in there, thank you, corrected, that sort of thing. But it's well worth looking into.
Yeah, I early on I was at Shelfari a lot, and I know that technically, because it's tied with Amazon, and Amazon's got a lot of bots doing things for them, every now and then a book will suddenly have all of its characters populated without descriptions, just the names of characters show up, and it's because essentially the book processor went through and found all of the proper nouns, and it's like, But the thing is, it will say the names of locations as characters because, well, that's a proper noun, and it's not. If it's in the book, it's probably not a typo. So this was probably a character name. And I noticed that happening automatically for some of my stuff. But yeah, I remember early on, I really enjoyed going through Smashwords, Shelfari, and adding stuff for that. And then, like many things, I realized, oh, there's only so many hours of the day, and really, I should just be working on the next book.
Seriously. One disclaimer I should put is any what is it? I think it's a Mobi file for the Kindles.
Yeah.
Or is it EPUB? Mobi files. The Mobi files that you purchase from, say, Smashwords, for instance, if you ever buy one there, even though it'll open on your Kindle app, that will not link to the Shelfari stuff. Only the stuff you buy from Amazon.com or .uk or .whatever. Only from the Amazon sites will that Book Extras link work. I learned that
it's
the
good
hard
to
way.
know. I should also point this out. Something I didn't realize was going to be as effective as it was. Amazon, if you don't have an Author Central page, set up your Author Central page. It's actually remarkably effective. The pre-order I put up, Amazon sent out the email. There's a new book available for pre-order from Joseph Lalo for anyone who follows me. And I didn't think very many people followed me, but I ended up getting something like 150 purchases off of that. Like, it was an unexpected bump. So don't neglect your Author Central page. You can only follow people on the Amazon.com version, I found out, because I told people on my fan page, oh, follow me if you don't, and remembered, of course, that there are people outside the country that like me, and they can't do that. So they can follow me on Goodreads. But so yeah, that's the extent of our launch stuff. And the next topic we have here is Lindsay's been planning a website redesign, and we're going to sort of weigh in on the elements of an author site and what should and shouldn't be done. So Lindsay, you want to pick up on that?
Alrighty, I will. Before I jump into that, I wanted to agree that the Author Central thing is definitely good. And there's some things, like if your description or HTML or something is looking hosed, and I've had people say like, oh my gosh, it won't update through KDP dashboard. Sometimes if you go into Author Central, you can update it there, and it's one of those, what do you call them, WYSIWYG editors or something, where you don't actually have to put HTML in. Yeah, you can actually just bold it and add, I think you can do bullet points maybe and a couple things in there more easily than you can through the dashboard. So just a heads up. And also, if you ever find that you have different editions of your books, or like your paperback and your ebook are not linked the way they should be, that's something you can fix in Author Central. Either email them or just you can try to do it yourself in there. I found with the audiobooks, often those don't get linked unless you go in and do yourself. All right, so website stuff. I feel like we should have covered this a long time ago because every author needs a website. But I never wanted to, because my website is just this WordPress theme I first downloaded for free when I, almost 5 years ago now, and I've updated in that I've gone in and like added my books to the side and just some things, and added a mailing list and that kind of stuff. So, but it's still on my to-do list to actually hire someone. Now that I've got some pretty cool book covers, I want to just kind of hand the book cover, the illustration files over to somebody and say, hey, make this into a really cool fantasy author website. But I haven't done it yet. It's one of those things that gets low priority over publishing the next book. But so since I need to do that, I knew I would need to put a list together of what I want for whoever the designer ends up being. So I thought I'd make that list tonight and just kind of go through and talk about it, and the guys can chime in on why I'm going to do certain things and what things I might get rid of that I have in the current site. So if you listen to this in 2016, or definitely by 2017, you can go over to my website and you should be able to see that I did the things I was talking about, hopefully. No promises.
Let's hope it doesn't become a running gag.
It will. We'll be on episode 160. Hey, how's that website design going? Before I jump in with my stuff, I did want to just talk briefly about domain names, because I looked at Joe and Jeff's sites, and I noticed you guys both have like bookofdeacon.com and lantari.com instead of your author names. So I chose my author name. For me, I knew right away I'd write zillions of books and want to have multiple series going, so that seemed logical. What were you guys thinking? What made you decide to do your series name, and would you do that again?
No. my, my instant reaction. I was just thinking about this earlier, going, excuse me, going, man, if I do this series, that's not going to work. Pointing it to Lantari. Excuse me. I'm thinking I'm going to have to. Ah, crap. It's almost like I'm going to have to do some revamping here. I'm going to redirect certain domain names there, but I'm thinking about just. I don't know. I still have to. I'm gonna be doing a major revamp as well because now that I'm doing multiple genres there, I can't just have one main one because that's what I was originally thinking. I was just gonna do the Bakken Chronicles, Tales of Lantari set in the same world. Lantari.com, no problem. It's nice and short. It's unique. It shall work just fine. Doesn't work so well when you start a mystery series, so I have to figure that one out. So no, I would not do that again.
Yeah, likewise. When I first wrote this stuff, I didn't anticipate writing anything but this stuff, and I didn't really anticipate writing much more than what I already wrote. And it was early enough along that the person who actually did my webpage as a birthday gift bought me a couple of domains, one of which was Book of Deacon, another one was Joe Lallo, Jollallo. I think I still own that, but that's not the name written on the cover of the book. So it was one of those where it's like, well, we'll go with the book. People will be able to search for it. And as I began to grow and have more series, and I realized that author name is what you do. If you can't get any, your name as a domain name, then your name author. But definitely it should be you, the person creating the book, as opposed to the name of any given series or anything, unless you're going to try to be sneaky. And this is something that might work for Jeff, and just sort of make a small publishing company named after your first book. I believe people like Neil Gaiman have done stuff like that. Like he has a clothing line called Neverwear, only it's spelled wear as in outerwear. So like just you can maybe salvage the domain by just linking it like that.
The Lantari Press.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
might work.
Except it doesn't work so well for me because what is it going to be? Book of Deacon Books? Like I get really redundant if I pull that one. But yeah, definitely author name would have been a better choice. I was not savvy at the time I made that decision.
You and me both.
All right, well, you heard it here first. The only thing I could think of where you might not want to do your name is if you have a really hard to spell name, and I would say mine gets spelled wrong all the time when people look it up, but they do still find my page because Google is fortunately smart enough to say, did you mean this name,
Yep.
But I remember Lois McMaster-Bujold has Dendari.com. It's only 7 letters. It's the name of her mercenaries in her book, and some mountains, I think, in her series. And she's written she's written fantasy and stuff, so more than just the science fiction series that comes from. But, she got her domain name, I think, back in like 1996, put up her author page, so I guess it works for her. But she's got her name's a bit of a mouthful, so maybe she prefers just having something short. Especially if you have something in your world that you can get that's like 5 or 6 letters. I think it's pretty hard to get a domain name these days that's that short. Though, like even the nonsense stuff has been taken, so I don't know. But you do.
I have a short last name and they still bungle it. Grocery store. Thank you, Mr. Pooley. Have a nice day. Is there a Y at the end of that sport? No, it's swimming pool. Add an E. It's not hard. So yeah,
Jeff's bitter.
Sometimes the longer names are nicer, but short names, it can be a pain sometimes.
Yeah, even so, I would probably still go with the author name because it's just easier when you branch out and do other genres and start writing mystery novels. But all right, so moving on from domain names, as exciting as that topic is. So for the actual website, and this is something you should not pay a lot for a website, especially when you're just starting out. Like I said, I got a free WordPress template, and WordPress is absolutely free. It started out as just blogging software, but now you can make static pages and everything with it, so you can just use it as the backbone for your whole website. It's totally free. There's a zillion themes out there, and if you're not at all, you don't want to learn how to do this, just hire the smart tech kid next door and say, hey man, for 50 or $100, will you register my domain name and help me with that and help me get this website online? And it's for somebody that's familiar with this stuff, it's really easy. It's like an hour of work, so you don't need to pay. Yeah, you don't need to pay any more than that. A lot of hosts now, I think I use Bluehost for most of my stuff I have now. I want to say it's like $60 if you pay for the year, so it ends up being about $5 a month. and they actually have the WordPress install. You just click a button and it does it for you on the control panel. So, but again, if you don't want to do that, just pay someone, and you shouldn't be paying $1,000 or anything crazy like that.
Oh, absolutely not. I should mention too, if you use GoDaddy, if GoDaddy has a deluxe hosting account. I mean, their basic hosting account is just used for one domain name. I think it's like $40 a year, somewhere around there. But the deluxe hosting account is like 60, $70 a year. That's the one I have, and you can have as many domain names as you want using that one same hosting account. So, for instance, I probably have 10 different domain names, but one hosting account. So my Lentari.com, all the other ones I've created, they're all going to subdirectories on that one hosting account, and I can keep creating as many as I want. So if you're going to have, if you think you might have more than one website, that would do it too. And yes, they've got it. GoDaddy's got the WordPress already pre-installed there as well, so it works great.
Except I kind of hate them right now because my account, I've had my accounts from like 1999 or something, and somebody keeps trying to hack it, and I have to call them and get it unlocked. And I don't know, they've been really spammy over the years, so I don't know if I can endorse them.
Stronger password?
Oh, it's the one they give me, so it's like I have to write it down, and like, it's how when you try to log in like 5 times, it locks your account if you don't guess it right. I think that's what's happening.
Well, the one they give you is a temporary one. They're supposed to give you a temporary, then you log in with that one and instantly change it to something stronger.
No, it's not that they're not getting into the account. They're trying to get in, and it gets locked. So, and this has been happening constantly, and I'm just like, dude, can you give me a new account or something that nobody's heard of? But anyway, but I don't know. They've always seemed really spammy to me over the years with the upselling they try to do when you check out. It's like,
that's annoying, but yeah, it's they try to nickel and dime you for everything.
Yeah, I have my domain's name through there, and but it's fine. Like we said, ask the kid next door that's 12 and knows this stuff, and you probably don't even have to pay him $50. So, and with WordPress, there's a zillion themes out there already. You just browse, type in WordPress themes on Google, and you can probably find something. Like I've found a space-based one for my pen name, and the one I have right now isn't anything fantasy related. It's just, it looked okay, when I first found it, and it was easy to modify the menus and stuff to work for me. So that's fine. There's absolutely no reason why you need to spend more money on that kind of thing if you don't want to, especially when you're starting out. If you actually want like custom artwork, a real like design that's yours and nobody else's, then you are going to pay more money, of course. I would probably do something based on your cover art or something like that, so that you're at least recycling artwork you've already paid for. Get to make sure you have the rights to that from your designer, that kind of thing. But this doesn't need to be expensive for sure.
Yeah, WordPress is nice because you can actually, at almost like the click of a mouse, you can change from theme 1 to theme 2. So let's just say if the holiday seasons are approaching, you find a really cool holiday type theme to WordPress, you can say, okay, stop using my desk one and use Christmas 2, and just like that, it's changed. So it's really easy to work with.
Right, and there's so many designers out there making cool stuff for WordPress. They call them plugins, and I'll mention at the end some of the ones I have on my site. But anything you think you want to know, like how many people have read each post, or if you want to put in a poll or something like that, there's all this stuff is already out there, so you don't need to hire your designer to do additional work. It's pretty easy to install these plugins, and again, WordPress has made it really simple. I think you can just browse and find one and click a button and it installs it. So, because if you don't do WordPress, if you get something custom done, you're paying for that every time you want something to upgrade, just something like that. So, we recommend WordPress. One mistake I have on my old site, and it's just with the design, I wasn't really able to make it work, is that I want the newsletter to be on all pages, which it is. I have it over in my menu. But it should be above the fold, which means people shouldn't have to scroll down to find the newsletter form sign up. And right now they do if they're on my site, because it's over in the menu bar. I have it under the books and under a intro thing that says like, hello, you've reached the website of fantasy author, blah, 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 which I'll mention why it's probably a good idea to do that in case people stumble on your site. But your newsletter sign up should definitely be very prominent. I believe there's some banners out there. I'm not sure banner is the right word, kind of a bar across the top in WordPress that you can get that lets you just have it there on the top on every page. Some people will do pop-ups which I hate. Everybody hates them, but it's one of those things that they really work well, apparently. People are like, yeah, I hate pop-ups, and I put one on my site, and then it suddenly my newsletter sign-ups quadrupled. So it's really up to you if you want to have it there. You can make them so they only appear to new visitors or people who haven't been there for 60 days or something. I probably won't do it. I don't feel that desperate, so I just really hate them. But so I'll have the form on every site, and right now I do have it on my book news. I have a special page where I update, this is what's out, and I've got the sign up on the top of that page, and that's the page I direct people to at the back of my books. So I do send everybody to that and say, if you want to know when the newest release is, or you want to be notified if there are contests, I've got the dog's water dish right behind me in the little rental place I'm staying at, so please ignore the licking noises. He's fueling himself up.
Eagle-eyed viewers have seen the dog walk up to her from the background.
It was good planning. I just figured that's where it should go. Dude, really? He's a camel. We did a hike today. All right, I'm going to hope it's not that noticeable.
No, it's not that audible. No, it's not that.
Okay, good. All right, so I have no idea what I was talking about now. Newsletter form, ask for their first name and email. Some people don't ask for the first name, but most email or mailing list providers, seriously, you're done. Thanks. Most mailing list people will allow you to insert the personalized first name, and I think that's a good touch, rather than just be like, hey, reader, or hey, subscriber. So get the first name and email address on your form, and then you've got your button. Make sure it says sign up here for fun, or subscribe, or whatever, click. But yeah, do tell them what they're getting. Some people will also include a little tag that says, I promise never to spam you or send you junk or sell your address. That's up to you. I don't include that just because I don't think people think authors are going to do that necessarily. We don't have the reputation of GoDaddy, for example.
Detecting a wee bit of bitterness.
Plus, when someone says, I'm not going to do something to annoy you, you don't necessarily, oh, well, he said that, so he's not going to do it. I think that putting that is not going to sway them in one direction or the other.
Yeah, before you didn't think they were going to sell your email address, but now you're like, well, what if they come on hard times and they've got these email addresses?
They're clearly aware it's a thing you can do.
I have a question for you guys with regards to newsletter sign up. On my newsletter plugin for WordPress, I have an option where I can do what's called the single opt-in or the double opt-in, meaning that if it's set to double opt-in, they're going to say, okay, I've signed up, then it sends a confirmation email to the email address they requested or they put in, and that way if they get the email that says, okay, thank you for signing up. If you really mean to do this, click here and we'll sign you up. Or do you have just a single one that says if you enter it, clearly you want the email and that's it?
If you do Aweber, and I think if you do MailChimp and the other ones, they make you do the double opt-in. It reduces the spam complaints and things that you get. So it's up to you.
I actually use the final confirmation email for giveaways. Like when I have a novella or something that I'm giving away to people who sign up, the link for that is on the final. I think they call it the final hello or something like that, or the final greeting. But so that's where people are able to download it. Also, it's sent out to in an email to everybody when it's made the new perk. But I make use of it so that people at least are rewarded for looking at that email.
Yeah, my newsletter, it's called the welcome email, I think it is. And I did the same thing. I put it on mine and said, okay, I've got this short story. That's going to be my reward. You want the story? Sign up an email address there for the newsletter. And man, it worked. My subscribers tripled. So it's a good incentive.
And you didn't even have to add a pop-up.
No pop-up. I see right there where it says I can make it a pop-up. I was like, it ticks me off every time I go to any sort of webpage. I'll sign up for our newsletter. No. I'll go ahead and close it. So I will not do that.
All right, moving on. Some links I have on my front page now that I'll probably do the same thing, maybe just update them when I actually do this. Like, I haven't updated my About page in about 3 years, and sometimes somebody posts a comment on it, and I'm like, what the heck is this about? I don't even remember what I wrote on here, but I have links to all my books, to like the most recent news. I have a contact link, and I also have a plugin, which I keep joking we need to get this on the podcast website. So the contact link is actually over on the left banner of the, or not banner, but it's a little tab on my site that it follows you as you scroll it down. So anywhere you are on my site, it's easy to see that contact thing and click it. One bad thing about contact form I have now that I need to fix is I need to have a double, you know how they usually make you verify your email address, and you think, oh, what kind of people cannot get their email address right? Well, at least about 1 in 25, 1 in 30 messages I get, I reply, and it goes nowhere because they didn't get their email address right. So just a little aside. So yeah, I got the contact, about links, book links, and a news page. You probably don't need a whole lot more than that. One thing I just did is get rid of all the blog roll links. That was really trendy, like back in 1997 or so, and I don't really know why. I think when I got started, I was just hoping to exchange the links with some other authors. So I had all these links to old sites that some of them didn't even, like, they hadn't updated their site in 3 years. I decided to just get rid of that and get rid of those links, except for I still have the links to my editors and my cover art people that I've used, because people often ask me, who do you use for this? And I like to be able to send them some business too. I've sent my editor a lot of business, and she's been appreciative and given me discounts, so that can be nice. But yeah, I would kind of probably not get into the trading links thing. You're not going to get like a lot of traffic to your website anyway as an author, like from the search engines. You'll probably get people checking your site out after they've read your books and they like you, or they're following a link from the back of the book to your site. So I wouldn't worry about listening to podcasts on SEO or search engine optimization and things like that, unless you're just really excited about that stuff, or you're doing something really interesting with your blog and you do actually get a lot of traffic or could potentially get a lot. Probably they're not going to come in droves to read the sample chapter of your latest book. Just saying. Sorry, hate to break it to you. One thing I don't often see on people's websites, which I think is a good idea, is just, and I've got this now, I'll probably try to keep it with the redesign, is sort of a new reader's guide, just a couple paragraphs like, all right, this is my series, blah, 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 here's book 1 that people like, here's a link to the rest of the books in the series, here's the fan forum, if you have anything like that, here's the fan art, here's the free Podio books, because you would be surprised people find your site and they really, even though all your books are on Amazon, they don't know how to, or didn't surf around, or they expect the answers on your website, and you'll get email if the reading order is not really clear. So it's, like I said, it's good to have that there. And then if you do have it, you can just direct people to it when they do ask, what's the reading order for this series or something like that. But yeah, assume somebody did stumble on your site from Twitter because of a blog post somebody linked. That's where it's good to say fantasy author or steampunk author, sci-fi, whatever, and a sentence about yourself, and then point them to your free books if you have any free books, and just a little bit of marketing there. I have all the social media links. They're not really integrated that well. I think this theme, it doesn't predate Twitter, but it almost does. It's a pretty old theme at this point. So I'll probably try to get that a little cleaner when I get designed. Just if you're on Twitter or G+, all those sites, you want them to be able to find the links. And one thing you can do with WordPress, it gives you the option to either, if you have a blog, that can be the front of your website. And I looked at the guys' sites, and I think they did the same thing. We all have our blogs as kind of the front page that has your most recent updates on it. Something I've toyed with is just having a static front page that says maybe in larger, welcome to the website of fantasy author, blah, 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 and there's a series. And right now I've got that stuff over in the menu, so it might be better to have a static front page, and that's something you can choose to do. And that just means they have to click another link to get to your blog. And I've thought about doing that because I often blog about self-publishing, which is not necessarily of interest to the readers. So we'll see if I get around to doing that. What do you guys think? Do you like having your blog posts on there? Is that by design or by accident?
Well, for me, before I decided to branch off, I was thinking, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's shows me what's the latest and greatest is there, and it's the same thing. Yeah, I saw the little option buried in the settings for WordPress that says, "Would you like a static front page?" I'm like, no. Well, now the more I think about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? I probably do. That way, I can kind of divert traffic. If you're looking for me, the fantasy author, and the world I created there, go that way. If you'd like to learn about this other new one I'm creating, go that way. So that way you don't get land right on the on the Lintari.com and go, yeah, I don't know about this, and get off of it. So yeah, I'm not using the static page at the moment, but I have a feeling I will be switching to it shortly.
I wanted my blog to be the front of my page mostly because the page was largely about updates, and I wanted therefore to have relatively recent information on there, although my most recent update is more than a month old because I have refocused my energy on social networking, not because I think that's better than the blog, but because I keep forgetting that I have a blog, sort of. But I think there's value in a static front page. I don't want my front page to be static. I want it to I want people to come back and see something new if they come back. But I think one of the big values of this front page is if you don't want to do a pop-up, it's a way to sort of emphasize the thing you want them to do without it being a pop-up. Like, if you go to my front page, you're going to read my material and stuff. But if my goal was to get you to sign up for my newsletter, if I had a more focused, static front page that allowed you to go to my blog, or maybe even had a little headline for what my most recent blog was, but also allowed you right up front in a very prominent way to sign up on the newsletter, it's one step down from a pop-up and far less intrusive. So it might be a valuable place to do that. But yeah, overall, I need to update my website more, but I'm probably going to keep with the blog as the front page.
Yeah, actually, with the pen name, I kind of got the best of both worlds. I did the option where it's the blog, but it's you can choose to make your first one post sticky, the same as you can on the social media sites. So when you go to the pen name's blog website, it's the blog, but the first thing you see is the newsletter sign up. And it says like, hey, you've reached the site of blah, 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 author, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever. So that's something to do. Oh, and I've got barking dogs now. It's so much fun being in my world and trying to record stuff. I would never try to narrate my own audiobook, guys. All right, just to kind of finish this off here of what I'm going to do, or what I have now is I mentioned I would share the plugins I have, and I'll just stick these in the show notes for the episode. So if you're really curious, you can go there as I mute myself. The dogs are waking up. We did the hike this morning, and now it's like, activity. The plugins. Oh, the other one's going to drink. I'll just put the links on the site. So why don't we jump into things to avoid with author websites, and I'll let you guys jump in first while my dog's drinking.
All right, I have a couple with my name on it, so I'll do mine. Ads. I've seen authors trying to put ads on their sites like to earn money, like ads for not like affiliate links to Amazon, but like just ads to other products, and that's not what your website is for. I don't think that you should be putting ads for anything on your site except for your books. It sort of dilutes the message when you're trying to, if you're trying to inform them about yourself and tell them about your books, you're also not trying to sell them coffee. So I think that your author page should be about you, and regardless of how much traffic you're getting, don't put any ads on there that aren't related to your books. That would be an opinion that I have. And another thing is, when you're making your web page, even though chances are very good you're going to be making most of your money off of Amazon, don't forget that you have other storefronts, hopefully. Unless you are exclusive to Amazon, if you sell anyplace else, don't forget to at least put, I like to put at least my top 3 storefronts, which tends to be Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple. Because let's say that you start to make a foothold, you start talking to some of these people, and you get like a representative within there. They're going to want to see that you're pushing their stuff too. Apple will not want to work with you if they go to your website and say, oh, well, he doesn't even acknowledge that he sells via Apple. So you'll make more. You'll make a more diverse income if you link to all of your other stuff, and you'll also, you'll network better with those other people if you ever get the opportunity to. So don't ignore the places that aren't Amazon. I would say those are my 2 big ones.
All right, let me just add to that to use affiliate links when for Amazon, and I finally got an Apple affiliate link and affiliate sign up, and I think you can get Barnes and Noble too. So not only can you make a little extra money by having those links, but you can actually get an idea of how many people visit your website and actually buy your books by clicking on those links. So that's a good idea. And what was your first thing that you mentioned?
No ads. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say also don't do it because you're not getting that much traffic anyway. Trust me, I know you guys aren't. Authors, we don't get like, this is not a wired.com. You
No,
know,
it's
you're not
it's
going
not
to
a
get
place
enough,
to go.
you're just not going to get enough traffic to get enough money. And the ads that match up to your site are not going to be anything that pay a lot either. So, not unless you're doing nonfiction, which you're probably not listening to this podcast. So, another story. Jeff, did you want to jump in with yours?
Sure. I can't tell you how many times I've gone where I pick up a book, I really enjoy the author, I go to his website, I'm checking to see what other books he's created or he's written. Can't find a simple book list anywhere. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times I see that. So my first thing is if you're going to have yourself an author website, and obviously you have more than one book, list them, make it blatantly obvious that okay, books or titles or what I've got published or whatever. But for me anyways, I've got that and I've got my list of the books. What series it belongs to, what order number it is, quick little blurb, pretty much like the same blurb I've got posted at like all the websites there. Just make it available where people can see it. Let's see, this one pretty much, the next one I have is kind of like ads, but I've gone to a lot of other people's websites where they like to promote other people's crap. So I mean, like for instance, you avoid posting blurbs about other people's titles. I get that. I get that you like to help out your fellow author, but the way I see it, if you're an author, the only thing you should be talking about is your own stuff, not someone else's. I see that enough on Facebook. I unfollow so many people that because of that. It's just my own opinion. And the only other thing I would definitely recommend is just a little tip is do not post your email somewhere on the website. If you're going to list it somewhere, you say, contact me, and do it in the really funky robot thwarting, John Doe, and at in parentheses, hotmail, spell out dot and com. Don't give it out there because they have these robots that are always scanning popular websites looking for email addresses, and once they get it, you're food.
All right, I'd like to comment on the thing about posting about other author stuff because I think we might have some listeners that do that. I know it's really easy to get into these kind of networking things with other authors, and you'll interview them, and they'll interview you on their site, so it seems like a good idea. And I don't think it's necessarily horrible, but I do think that nobody knows who those authors are. Nobody's heard of them. Nobody's heard of you yet either. You guys aren't really helping each other as much as you think you are. And it's just the truth. I feel like such a bad... remember, I've been doing this since like 2001. I've been making a living online, and I did all the SEO and marketing, content marketing, and all that stuff before I got into the fiction, and got focused on that. But if you can get a link from a really big site, it's a really big deal. That helps. A whole bunch of other sites that don't get any other traffic, you're kind of just wasting each other's time. And it is an endorsement if it's on your site. It possibly, whether you see it that way or not, a reader that comes to your site and sees, they posted an interview with this author, so I should check out their book. And then if you haven't read the book and they go read the book and it's horrible, they may lose a little bit of their trust factor for what you have to offer. I'm really careful when I plug stuff. It's only, I usually only do it on Facebook, but if I plug it, it's like my beta readers, my other fellow authors that I beta read for. I've read the books. I enjoy them. I think they have a similar sense of humor to what I have, so I think my readers are actually going to like those books. Or I'll plug something I read just for the heck of it and I honestly liked. But yeah, if you get anything where you feel obligated to promote other people's stuff, and whether it's good or bad or you've read it, just remember, people are going to see that as an endorsement possibly, and that people usually aren't interested in interviews and things from authors they've never heard of yet. After they've read your book, then they're interested in that. So I know, and it's hard when you're getting started. It's tough to realize that the things we talk about all the time on the show are the better things that you can do. Try to get the first couple books in a series out there, make the first one free, buy a few ads, that kind of thing. There's just so many more eyeballs on Amazon than there are on your friend's Blogspot blog that that's where you want to put your time, is focusing on making the sales on Amazon. So I basically I agree with Jeff. He was probably nicer about it. I'm blunt because I've seen it all. I'm just like, it's not working, guys. Trust me. So, um, I think
Yeah, I got to agree with the when you blog or blurb or in any way share other people's stuff, it's an endorsement. And I traded some Thunderclap. Are we familiar with Thunderclap, where you organize a social media hit all at once? It was one of those you join my Thunderclap, I'll join yours things, and immediately upon seeing these Thunderclaps show up on mine that I signed up for, I started to feel really just like iffy about ever having done it, because regardless of whether these books are good or bad, suddenly it's an ad showing up on your page, and it's going to be jarring to people who are legitimately following you, and then for people who are only passively following you, it will immediately think, oh, this is one of those guys who's going to be doing that. So yeah, as helpful as much as it might hurt you to not do the favor, trading book shares is almost always a bad idea.
Here, here.
Yeah.
all right. I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I think that might be the end of our topics for today. We're at an hour.
I actually skipped my 2 notes because dogs were drinking.
Dogs.
So.
Yeah, so you can go back and finish this up.
All right. I just wanted to say the other thing is be careful of having too much clutter on your site. If people get to it and they can't actually find your books, and mine's probably on the borderline of having too much stuff on there now. You get 20 books out and you've had your site for 5 years without a redesign, and that can happen. But be careful of adding things like words in progress and things like that. I mean, it's okay if it fits in and you don't have a lot of other stuff, but yeah, just a lot of gadgets and gizmos, and I don't see as much of that today. I think people are more used to the web and not just throwing all sorts of random junk on there these days because they can. I remember when people used to put the weather on there. Do you guys remember that? They'd get the weather app on GeoCities or something.
Oh God, GeoCities! I remember that.
Old times.
GeoCities Green Forest 4719. I still remember that. That was my old address.
Nice. My last one too is make sure your books are very easy to find. I have mine over in the menu bar on the first page, on all the pages of my site, because that's the way a blog works, right? Your menu bar is on all the pages, and I have 3 there, series starters with the links to the free books. And I would definitely, I think Joe was saying, make sure you have your books easy to find and the links to the various sites easy to find. This seems obvious, but I can't tell you how often I check out other authors' sites just because they tweeted or retweeted me or something like that, and I'll go check them out. And I have to go through 5 levels of their website to find the link to Amazon. I don't want to read your PDF file of your sample chapter on your site. I'm an Amazon person. I want to just download the sample to my Kindle. So please put those links, if not on the front page, then right on the link from the front page on your book link page, whatever. And please make the cover clickable and take you somewhere important, not just a bigger picture of the cover, which is what Blogspot I think does by default. But people click on links. I'm not links. Of course they click on links. They click on pictures. We have it. That's from the early days of the web.
Yeah.
We try to click on pictures. If you ever look at those heat maps they have of how people interact with your site, there's people click. I want this picture to take me somewhere. So have it go to Amazon or have it go to the first chapter of your preview on your site or something like that. So there we go. That's all my pet peeves there. Yep. So, and I think it's not just pet peeves. I think that's helpful.
No, that's sound advice. Yeah.
Because you don't want to give people the chance to get fed up and go away because they couldn't find how to get a sample of your book from their favorite retailer. So.
Yeah, they're right.
Absolutely. So that's, I think we covered. I got to say this. I don't have to say this when I'm going to because I think it's funny. Recently, I'm doing a redesign too, where I will be soon, and it's motivated by some blogger whose name I do not recall. Put me on their list of favorite bad author pages. So my web, I didn't find out about this, by the way. My web designer found out about this, and he was like, I think we're going to update your page now, Joe, because I'm not happy about being on that list. He was like, come on, it's probably just because of my author photo. What?
Did you get a badge or something that you can display on your webpage?
He didn't even email me. It was just, I guess, maybe an alert told my buddy that it happened. But it was like, I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with his design. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the fact that the author photo of me on the about page is 6 years old and taken in my living room. So I feel like maybe I'm at fault here, but my web designer has redoubled his efforts to give me a slick new design in a couple of months.
All right, that's a site. They probably haven't seen my site. That's why I wasn't on the list, or they're just not aware of it. Speaking of outdated, yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's it for this week. Again, I'm not going to be around next week, so there probably won't be a podcast, but we'll be back the week after. I think we've got a good guest lined up for that.
Yeah, I'm going to be somewhere in some remote town in Colorado, so I'm not sure on internet either. So I think we're just going to take the week off. But yeah, I think it's the 22nd or 23rd is the next Tuesday, and we've got Mark Dawson, who is just like a Facebook. He's really taught himself how to rock it with Facebook. Oh, it's not my dog this time.
No, that would be mine.
All right, so to learn all about Facebook advertising and how to actually make it work, just come on in 2 weeks, and we'll have Mark on the show.
Yep. Until then, so long, everybody.
All right, take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.